as we're celebrating Israel's 75th anniversary, at the same time, there's also this phenomenon of anti-Semitism that seems to be rising around the world. I didn't expect this when I came on Aliyah 50 years ago. How can you explain it?
So, Bernard-Henri Lévy, in his fascinating, very short book, In the Name of the Other, mentioned that as we go back, as we go away from Auschwitz, from the Holocaust, it's becoming more and more easy, because in a way, Auschwitz and the Holocaust made anti-Semitism very unpopular, and so for 50 years he called it the Auschwitz pause. Anti-Semitism was a side, and you should be very, very brave in order to express anti-Semite views. But as we move forward, and the Holocaust remain behind, and people are less and less educated about the Holocaust, they don't really know what happened, and don't really know what are the concentration camps and what are the death camps, and what's the scale of the Holocaust, and what is the meaning of the Holocaust. And it's becoming more and more easy to deny the Holocaust, to manipulate the Holocaust, and we see the Palestinians, they do it every other day. When just recently Abu Mazen on German soil stood next to the chancellor and said that Israel committed 50 Holocausts during the Nakba, also refusing to apologize for the terrible massacre of 11 sportsmen in the Munich Olympics. So that's what we're seeing. It is becoming more and more easy, more and more popular, and also in a way some of the European leaders, especially from the left, feel even free to say that Israel today is treating the Palestinians like the Nazis. You have it from time to time, and this way of looking at Israel as an apartheid state, as a colonial project, as racist, as to throw basically everything that you can throw upon the Jewish state.
But Minister Chikli, there's also a lot of just plain old hatred of Jews.
It is
Jews
same,
being knocked down by blacks.
It is the same. It is the same. It's the same old anti-Semitism. It has a new mask. Now it's not against the individual Jew, but the collective identity of the Jews, which is the Zionism, and obviously the result of Zionism, the state of Israel. And that's what we're facing today. It's becoming more and more popular, and because we moved far, far away from the Holocaust, and from this terrible disaster, people feel that that's easy, that's even funny, and like these jerks, Kanye West and his friends.
There's another phenomenon that's growing in the years that I've been here, and that is the phenomenon of BDS in recent years, but even more so today, you could say, that there's rejection of Israel totally.
So BDS is pure new anti-Semitism. What's BDS? BDS basically says Israel does not have a moral right to exist. We want in the future to have a clear land from Jews from the river to the sea, Palestine being free, meaning there will be no Jews in the area. There is no justification for the state of Israel because Judaism is religion, not nationalism, because we are occupiers, apartheid state, etc., etc. They totally ignore history. They totally ignore everything that says, even in the Quran, okay, about the Jews and their right here in Eretz Israel. And their goal is crystal clear. They want to remove the Jewish state, and BDS is pure anti-Semitism. It's a serious threat because people today are less and less educated. They don't really read that much books. They don't understand history, and you can tell them, you can sell them anything with short videos, bringing alternative truth.
So let's move a little bit away from BDS, but people that are still criticizing Israel, people today that have been praising Israel, the best friends of Israel in the diaspora, in the Jewish community today because of judicial reform, because of the issue that's on the table.
So
they're criticizing. Are you concerned about it?
That's a totally different issue. To criticize Israel, to criticize judicial reform, that's absolutely
You don't
perfect.
put them in the same category.
There is no problem to criticize the judicial reform. There is no problem to criticize Israel. We're not angels. We're not perfect. It's okay to criticize the state of Israel, but we can use Sharansky's famous 3D in order to distinguish between criticism and anti-Semitism. The 3D demonization, when you demonize the state of Israel, its soldiers, for instance, you say that we're treating the Palestinians like the Nazis. That's insane to say it, if you learn what really Nazism is all about. And second is double standard. For instance, you had this journalist, Shirin Abu Akleh, was accidentally killed in clash of fire between terrorists in Jenin and IDF troops. Now, it happened in the past that many journalists were in battle scene. It can be in Ukraine, in Iraq, or in Afghanistan, who were caught into fires and were injured or wounded, but it was never such a big deal. But when it's the IDF, these are totally different standards, and that's a whole story. The entire world should know about it, and that's double standard. And delegitimization, which means that you delegitimize the right of the Jews for self-determination, to have their own sovereign state in some part of Eretz Israel. That's delegitimization. And it's a separate phenomenon than criticizing judicial reform or the state of Israel. It got nothing to do with it.
Let me ask you this finally, if I could. We're 75 years in. Where do you see us 75 years from now? And what are you wishing the people of Israel on their 75th birthday?
So first of all, I think that the fact that we're celebrating 75 years for the state of Israel, it's amazing. I feel that I have big luck to live in an era that with the Jews, they have their own state, with all the difficulties, and there are difficulties. But look back 80 years ago, that's the darkest time we've faced as a nation. Or 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, I wouldn't replace, I wouldn't go back. I would rather to live here as a free Jew with my family in the Galil. The last time the Jews lived freely in the Galil, in Eretz Israel, it's like 2,000 years ago. So we are very, very lucky.
Minister Chikli, thank you so much for being with us at
תודה רבה.
ILTV.
תודה רבה.
Happy holiday.
Happy holiday. חג עצמאות שמח.